Cristiano Ronaldo had promised his family a quiet vacation, somewhere far from the roaring stadiums and flashing cameras that had defined his life for decades. They arrived at a beautiful coastal resort, hoping for just a week of normalcy, building sandcastles with the children, enjoying unhurried dinners, watching sunsets without the world watching back. But fame, he discovered, was not something you could leave at the airport. Within hours of their arrival, word had spread like wildfire through the small town. The first invitation came that evening, a local charity gala. They said it would mean so much if he attended. He politely declined, explaining this was family time. But the invitations kept coming. A business opening, a youth football event, a mayor's dinner, a fan club celebration. His phone buzzed relentlessly with requests, and everywhere they went, crowds materialized as if summoned by some invisible signal. At breakfast, tourists approached their table mid-meal, asking for photos. At the beach, what started as one or two autograph seekers became 50, then 100, with people filming everything, posting their location in real time. His children couldn't play without being surrounded, photographed, their private moments instantly becoming public property. His partner grew frustrated as their romantic dinner was interrupted every 5 minutes. Ronaldo tried to be gracious. He understood that these people admired him, that his success had inspired them. But the constant attention was suffocating. He saw the disappointment in his daughter's eyes when they had to leave the beach early because the crowd had grown too large, too chaotic. He felt his son's grip tighten on his hand in anxiety as another wave of strangers rushed toward them. By the fourth day, the joy had drained from their faces, replaced by tension and weariness. Ronaldo found himself longing to be anonymous, to be just another father playing with his children without the world documenting every second. He began to understand that fame, while it had given him everything, wealth, recognition, opportunities, had also taken something fundamental, the simple freedom to exist without performance. They cut the vacation short, returning home 3 days early. Back in familiar surroundings, where security and privacy could be managed, Ronaldo sat alone in his study, staring at the walls covered with medals and photographs of his greatest triumphs. He felt a heaviness settle over him that no trophy could lift. The realization had been creeping up on him for years, but this failed vacation made it undeniable. Being famous, being constantly recognized and celebrated, came with a price that people didn't see on television. The depression crept in slowly, not dramatic or obvious, but like a gray fog rolling across his thoughts. He had achieved everything a footballer could dream of, yet he couldn't take his family to the beach. He was beloved by millions who didn't know him, yet felt increasingly isolated from genuine human connection. People wanted Cristiano Ronaldo, the icon, the brand, the legend. But that persona was exhausting to maintain, and it left little room for the man beneath. He started questioning everything. Was it worth it? Had success cost him the ability to live a normal life? Could he ever escape the shadow of his own fame? His family noticed the change, the way he'd stare into space during dinner, the forced nature of his smiles in family photos, the increasing reluctance to go anywhere public. They tried to create normalcy at home, but even there, the outside world intruded constantly. Social media dissected his every move. Critics questioned his performances. Fans demanded more and more of his time and energy. He felt trapped in a gilded cage of his own making, one built brick by brick with every goal scored, every trophy lifted, every record broken. The very accomplishments he was most proud of had constructed the walls that now confined him. Ronaldo began to realize that fame wasn't just about being recognized, it was about being perceived, judged, and demanded from constantly, until you weren't quite sure where the public persona ended and your true self began. Sometimes, late at night, when the house was quiet and the world had momentarily stopped demanding pieces of him, he would wonder what life would have been like if he had been just good enough to play professionally, but not so good that the entire world knew his name. Would he have been happier? Would his children have a more normal childhood? Would he have the freedom to be imperfect, to have bad days, to exist without the weight of millions of expectations pressing down on every decision? These thoughts troubled him because he couldn't regret his choices. Football had been his passion, his drive, his purpose, yet he mourned what had been lost along the way. The next time someone told him how lucky he was, how they'd do anything to trade places with him, Ronaldo would simply smile and nod, because how could he explain that fame wasn't the glamorous dream people imagined? How could he make them understand that while he was grateful for his blessings, there were nights when he lay awake, wishing he could walk down a street unrecognized, sit in a cafe unnoticed, watch his children play in a park without security guards and gawking strangers? The depression didn't announce itself with fanfare. It simply settled into the spaces between his public smiles and private sighs, a constant companion whispering that perhaps being the best came with sacrifices that no one warned you about, and that sometimes, at the very pinnacle of success, you could feel utterly and profoundly alone.